Hello, I'm Peter Stewart, and also we're going to be saying hello to tone today. We've got to be careful with words. Although some voice trainers may talk about a richer tone, I try and avoid using that word too much unless it's specifically about the richness of your voice. Because later on in our podcast series, we're going to be looking at different kinds of tone with your voice. When you're reading different kinds of content, the tone of the voice could be bright or concerned, amused, and so on. When, say, reading different types of news stories or voiceover scripts for a commercial. And I'm not saying that voice quality is the same as the depth of voice, because that suggests a deeper sound. I'm talking about its body, its richness, its character, how round a sound sounds, the resonance of a voice. And I try not to use the word robust to describe that sound, because that suggests strength and possibly volume, which again is wrong, because you don't just have a good voice because of how loud you use it. We've all come across people who have loud voices or robust voices, usually men, and they tend to dominate, and everything that tells you about that kind of person, and also about the message that they're trying to deliver. They're kind of beating you around the head with their robust voice. So we want resonance, yeah? And we want to talk about pitch rather than tone, specifically for this kind of part of that voyage of the voice. Voice quality is like comparing a raw tomato with ketchup or passata or puree. They all taste of tomatoes, but differing texture and flavour. And hopefully that's what's coming out when I'm talking about these different elements of the voice. And as we progress, we're talking about pace and pause and projection and your tone and your inflection. All of these different elements all come together to help you get a better voice for broadcast and podcast and video, to help you with your presentation on your audio and video channels. I mentioned earlier on about how your physique plays a large part in shaping your voice. So it's things like your overall frame, because often larger people have more resonant voices. Again, not a louder voice necessarily, because you can choose about that, but you can't choose your resonance. You can alter it slightly, but your resonance is likely to come from a larger frame, yeah? A more round sound when I say resonance. It's also affected by your hormones. We know how puberty affects the male voice, but it can also, your hormones can affect your voice when you're going through menstruation and menopause and things like that as well. Also, your voice affected by lung capacity. We saw several weeks ago. Lung capacity and proper use of that gives us confidence to get to the end of a sentence, which in turn relaxes us. And the size and strength and health of the vocal folds affect our voice. Now, partly that's to do with your sex, but also partly it's to do with how you look after your vocal folds as well. Also affecting your voice, uniquely to you, the shape and size of the resonators in your chest, the throat, the larynx, and the pharynx, and the mouth, and the nasal cavities. And we've got to learn how to use all of those attributes to give us a better broadcast, podcast, and video voice. Tomorrow, timber!